Yeah, hi there. And these comments are for one of my online TOEFL students. And I'm listening to some comments that you sent me yesterday, maybe some further questions about the integrated writing task of the TOEFL IBT. And let's listen to your audio that you sent me.
Thanks for the feedback.
You're welcome.
I didn't expect that I will talk something like 3 out of 5.
I'd say I didn't expect that I would score something like 3 out of 5. So you're using didn't, which means would, not will. So be careful about your past tense verbs there. I hope you don't mind me doing some error correction as I listen to your.
But in this integrated practice writing, I was looking and search in your lessons, and I was trying to do.
Let me check one more thing here. You just said you were.
But in this integrated practice writing, I was looking and search in your.
You want to say I was looking and searching for things at your website. So try to keep your verbs parallel. All right, let's keep.
And I was trying to do the same in your lessons, like if what words which should we use when we are comparing the two ideas, like.
So what you did in your writing is you included in the introduction a main point about the reading and the listening passage. And then you showed how the listening passage disagreed with the information in the reading. Then you moved on to paragraph 2, 3, and 4. You discussed reading point 1 along with listening point 1. In the next paragraph, you talked about reading point number 2 along with listening point number 2. Then in the next paragraph, reading point number 3 along with listening point number 3.
The speaker and the reading passage. If he is agree with the idea, what should we write? If he doesn't agree, what should we write? So
if he is what? Let's go back to what you just said.
Ideas like the speaker and the reading passage. If he is agree with the idea.
You want to say if he is agree with the idea. If you're using is, here's a rule. I want you to write it down on your paper. You want to put be plus ing. Now, what does that tell you? It means if you're using is, you need to use the present participle form of the verb. So if he is agreeing, or if he is disagreeing with the idea, or if he agrees or disagrees with the idea.
What should we write? If he doesn't agree, what should we write? So, and the other thing, I took 2 hours. In your lessons, you said that.
Yeah, so you took a little bit too long to complete the practice test, but I have no problem with that.
Okay.
That's a good start.
When we are practicing for first time, that we took longer than 20 minutes. But the other thing that I want to ask, do you recommend for me to use to write in the correct way, to look at these words and just got to used to it, or try to write even if I took long time, but I just don't look in your lesson. Try think that.
Okay, I think I kind of understand what you're trying to ask me here. So you're asking me whether or not you should complete these integrated writing practice tests looking or not looking at the lessons from my online course. Maybe like what you did when you did this practice test, and maybe for the next few practice tests, look at the lessons. I don't care. Eventually, it'll become natural to you. The way that you structured and organized your practice test, as you complete more practice tests, will become more natural. But you, because you're limited with your vocabulary, I recommend also, in addition to working in the writing part of my course, go to the vocabulary part of my course and focus on vocabulary lesson number 3. Do that lesson first. Master the words in that ebook. And then move on to vocabulary lesson number 4, number 5, and number 6. And once you master the words in those 4 lessons, you will have a vocabulary of almost 2,000 words. And that will make it much easier for you to find the words that you need to put into your speaking and your writing tasks without having to look at anybody or anything. All right?
If I was in the TOEFL test, so I will
if you were taking the TOEFL, you would not be able to do these things.
I will not have anything to look, I don't know if you understand me.
I understand what you're saying.
Give me your advice if I should do it by myself, or in like the 4 or 5 practiced integrated writing, try to look, and after I get used to it, then I write it alone. So
yes, after you get used to the vocabulary, the transition words, the structure, the patterns of organizing your ideas, right? Maybe after 10, in your case, it might take you 10 or 15 practice tests before you get used to it. But at some point, you should be able to write like what you did the other day. You need to be able to do that in 20 minutes without looking at anything. And then that gives you what we consider an accurate score for the TOEFL IBT, at least for the writing section of the TOEFL IBT.
Please tell me, and thanks again.
All right, and thank you for your questions. Okay, so let's just kind of recap what I'm saying in the video here. Keep doing what you're doing. You now have figured out at least how to score 3.0 or higher on the integrated writing task. You figured it out. However, right now, you're still very dependent on my lessons and on my course to help you complete that practice test. Eventually, after 10 or 15 integrated writing practice tests, you should be able to do all these things on your own without consulting anybody or anything. All right? And keep up the good work.